Okay, away from that, President Yoweri Museveni insisted with this directive against the Balalo. We all know that in northern Uganda, there is a directive that the president has already put in saying, now, the all great northeastern, that means from Teso going to Acholi sub-region, the Balalo must leave. In your opinion, will this work? And how best would that be able to work in these regions?
First and foremost, let's accept that what is driving this Balalo? What is driving them to come this way is that there is vacant land. We cattle keepers have been disempowered. And for them, their cattle corridor is small compared to the huge cattle corridor this side. So they have seen opportunity. They move with those long vehicles of theirs, move their animals at night, they come and occupy bushes. If we must counter and contain the movement of animals from Balalo and Balalo occupying, we must accept that we must fix this cattle corridor. Unfortunately, this is my view, that once this cattle corridor is sorted, it collapses the Ankole cattle corridor.
Why?
Because you have quality products from here and the other products are not as of high quality like the other side. That's why the meat industry, the meat factory, which was put on Luero Road, Gulu Highway, the Turkish had to abandon it because the supply, the product, were not to the expectation and to the standard. That's why you have to accept that the Balalo have realized when they graze their animals the other side, their quality of meat and them grazing them this way, the quality of meat is different. We have good grass, we have good climate, and what eventually the cow becomes of eating good grass and a good terrain, good environment, is a good product. So that's why in between Karamoja and the Teso, most of it is them. That's why in Agu, most of them is them. And they have mastered the art and the business because we who should be keeping ours in there have been collapsed.
So, but then do you agree with the president's...
I do agree with the directive, but it should not only end on the directive. We should follow it up by empowering the ones who are disempowered. And restock Teso, restock Lango, restock Acholi, and also compensate because there have been court rulings. That must be honored. If you can't do that, you are rendering this community vulnerable. And these people who are called the Balalo, in my view, they are not.
So who are they?
They seem to be people who are agents of the powerful, who are connected. Why do you have a Mulalo who has cattle and the cattle is protected by state weapons? No one should own a gun, but it is the state of Uganda that owns guns. But cattle of Balalo are protected by guns. So who is behind them? And why do they have guns? So why do they terrorize other communities and you have to only deal with it with a directive?
So do you want to say that the president is
it should be more than a directive
to convince us that
my position is it should be more than a directive. A directive without being enforced is nothing.
But we see them running around and up and down with...
That's the point. Why have we continuously had directives? Is it the first directive?
Started in 2022, 2023.
What has been the implementation and the forces behind those directives? For instance, they issue a quarantine. No animal will move from Katakwi to Soroti. Isn't it enforced?
It does.
Can we have those enforcements undertaken to enforce the directives of the president. Because for me, if you issue a directive and the directive is not implemented, the buck stops with the fountain of honor. So who has issued a directive and must demand that the directive is enforced? So I find it disturbing when the fountain of honor begins debating on his directive, or the family member of the fountain of honor siding contrary to the directive of the head of state.
He has been giving his reasons that, you know, these Balalos, they don't, they need to fence the places where they keep these animals. He has also put his statement on how the animals come upland and eat people's crops and so on. And then other things that water, there are very many questions that the president has also put in place.
I am not opposed to the directive of the president. I am in total agreement with the directive of the president. But all I'm saying, the directive of the president is a law, and the law must be enforced. So the enforcement and why it is not being undertaken is my concern, and it's my opinion.
So how ready should Teso be for that spillover? Because when you look at northern Uganda currently, there is evacuation going on, and people are worried. How should Teso be worried about the spillover? Probably, we might be also the next victims. Remember, we had it before when we had the Honorable Musa Ichweru beating up the Balalos and so on, and there things went normal after.
I want to commend the Honorable Musa Ichweru for standing up that time. I deeply respect him. He's one person who even has been on record that the people who took cattle from Teso in the 80s are known. He's on record. He named them. And it hurts and it pains that we, Teso, have to wait for Musa Ichweru to threaten or act before ourselves we rise up to defend our motherland. The Acholis are rising up. And this thing of the spillover should not worry anyone, because the community must protect what is theirs.
So you are simply telling us to get prepared.
You can't have what you are left with to be taken by one who doesn't own it and you sit back and watch.
So how prepared should us be, or should the Teso people be, according to you? Because if you say that let's get prepared, simple, with the what? With the sticks, with what?
Simple. Tell the Balalo there is no access. And there is no grazing land. Communal land of Teso is not for any persons bringing in foreign animals to graze in it. And the leaders must be ready to defend and enforce the directive of the president. We have the vice president, we have the speaker, the head of the house, we have ministers, we have MPs. If we will witness them silent on that arena, contrary to the directive of the president, then there will be accomplices. And the leaders must be the one to mobilize and rally the community to say no to injustice.
So how will the question of the Balalo acquiring land illegally be answered according to you? Because there is also that narrative that, you know, Uganda is a liberal economy. I think that's what we always talk about, that you can stay and do business.
Did you say the Balalo acquiring land illegally or legally?
Legally, like using some procedures.
There is nobody who stops.
Even us.
There is nobody who stops a Ugandan to own land legally.
Yes.
And you can own land legally. But even in my own village in Owale, if I own my land and my goats are a problem to the neighbors, I am taken to the LOC court. And I am charged and I compensate people for the damage. And I am told to restrict myself within what I own. I have had to plant what my goats can eat. In Serera, I have had to find ways of fencing. And I had to, at a certain point, do away with it, what I was keeping to avoid chaos with the neighbors. But this impunity of you having animals and you wake up at 3, 4 and you go and graze all gardens down because your cattle must be satisfied. Actually can't take it anymore. The Langese can't take it. Should Teso accept it? Tell me.
So do you think the people...
Is there anybody above the law in the name of Balalo? No. And that's what the president is saying. If the Balalo cannot fence off their land, they want to live the nomadic life, which is not in Western Uganda, but they want to live it in Northern Uganda and Eastern Uganda. That is not acceptable.
Has the President Yoweri Museveni won the people's hearts?
In terms of what?
What we're talking about, the Balalo issue.
It is a subjective question, because it's not the first directive that they went and they came back. Now, the subjective question you're asking me can only be answered by individual victims, not ATTAN to say he has won the hearts of the people because of the directive. Because me as ATTAN, the concerns are the directive is not being enforced. And who are these people who keep disobeying the directives of the President of the Republic of Uganda?
Do you believe that opposition is pushing agenda to change the economy of this country?
Fundamentally, if you are in parliament, you have 4 functions. And if we are in multi-party dispensation, we are all Ugandans who have a stake in the economic transformation of this country. Otherwise, we would not be paying taxes. There is no member of opposition who doesn't pay taxes. Even members of parliament in the opposition pay taxes. We want the best for this country. And that's why we say, Your Excellency, the huge public administration expenditure needs to be checked. The priorities should be A, B, C, D. A productive population that is ever sick will not deliver economic transformation. But a healthy population that is able to get quality health care will be productive and will transform the economy. The quality of education is declining. UNESCO report names 4 countries in Africa: Sudan, Libya, Uganda, and Zimbabwe, whose education standard is declining. At Makerere University, I studied with Kenyans. Today, many Ugandans are taking their children to Nairobi and South Africa and abroad. There are no more Kenyans in schools of Uganda in secondary, unlike when it was in 97, in 2000, up to around 2011. What did Mwai Kibaki do in 2 terms? Mwai Kibaki fixed the education, fixed the health, and fixed the agriculture. Uganda needs to learn and appreciate the model of President Mwai Kibaki in his 2 terms, what he was able to turn around. By the time Kibaki left, Kenyans had started dwindling in terms of numbers of Kenyans who are coming to study in Uganda. The food basket of Kenyans feeding themselves was gradually improving. Today, Kenyans are now bringing food to the rest of East Africa.
Is there anything that you can recollect that this government has responded to, maybe in line or as far as or as a result of opposition pressure?
Well,
it can be policies, can be economic.
The scrapping of the graduated tax was as a result of the opposition pressure. You remember? We no longer have graduated tax. Unfortunately, we introduced many informal taxes that now even me with my UAD old car, I have to take it for every month to be inspected and I have to pay fee. We have introduced draconian taxes that even after scrapping graduated tax as a result of pressure, there are more taxes I'm paying as a Ugandan than the services. A Ugandan who pays taxes deserves to have taxes sort the healthcare question, sort the quality of education, sort the infrastructure, and reduce the burden of him or her having to meet the huge public administration expenditure. We have so many ministers. We have so many MPs. We have so many officials in government offices. We are actually the most highly administratively run administration. Many appointees, presidential advisors who don't even advise or meet the president, RDCs, that resident district commissioners representing the president. If one is asked, when did you ever hear from the president? Zero. I strongly believe that this country, we need to fix and reduce. You cut the coat according to your size. If you have 5 children, but you cannot afford 10 kilos of posho in a week, do you continue to produce? What were sub-counties are now districts. Kagame got Rwanda when there were over 100 districts. He had to return it to what was manageable. Kenya has a big economy than Uganda. How many ministers does Kenya have? How many MPs does Kenya have? Britain has how many members of parliament compared to Uganda? What is the economy? We are borrowing to sustain a huge public administration expenditure at the expense of transforming the country.
Do you think there's any need for opposition to come together to challenge the status quo currently run by President Yoweri Museveni, looking at how the opposition is presenting itself in the democracy of this country?
The opposition that you want to call the opposition are few individuals at the helm there. My focus is the people of Uganda. Those who are uncomfortable with the status quo must rise to the occasion and hold the leadership in charge accountable. The few individuals can be compromised. ATTAN can be bought and he joins the ruling party and he goes silent. So to count on that group called the opposition is a big mistake from us as Ugandans, but rather we must say, President Museveni, if you want to continue, what are you addressing and what did you address in the past 5 years? With regard to transforming Teso, let's ask that question. And then we must, as a people of Teso, copy something from Acholi. They said, President Museveni, you want our support. But A, B, C, D, these are our priorities in the 5 years. It's no wonder not surprising that Acholi's poverty from 2019 to 2020 and 2023 to 2024 has drastically reduced because they had specific transformational demands, and that have majorly been handled and pursued through the parliamentary.
You were once a member of parliament for Soroti city, and this time around you are in for it. How do you look at this city then, as we go for 2026 elections?
This city is the heart of Mother Teso. And this city, if it is silent, Teso is silent. This city had Obwangor at one point, very vibrant. This city at one point had the Honorable Mike Mukula, who served it for 3 terms. Today, he doesn't remember that some of us contested with him for his failures when he forgot what the role of a member of parliament is. He won me in 2011. But after winning me in 2011, Mike Mukula disappeared. Not legislating, not representing, not doing anything with regard to the constituency, Soroti municipality. He came back in 2015, he said, I have retired from politics. Not even my son will come for elective politics. isn't contesting for sake elective politics? Don't they elect them? It is elective politics. You may not want to answer.
I normally follow his conversation.
It is elective politics. Now let me explain, because this is the subject I studied.
I just want to bring it such that we move at par when you're addressing that, because I normally follow his conversations. He says that he relinquished himself from active politics of Soroti City to leave the young people take over.
And there are delegates from Soroti City from whom he's asking votes to go and be elected as a SEC member. They are. It is elective politics. Where is his son contesting for member of parliament Soroti East? Yes. Why is his son running away from contesting as a member of parliament via the NRM and running for independent? Yet the father is a SEC member of NRM vice chairperson Eastern Region for the last 10 years.
Don't you think?
So it is blatantly.
Don't you think it's a choice, like the way you also chose to be in the FDC?
Let me amuse you.
Yes.
That if my father was FDC, and we have benefited from FDC for 25 years, it will be foolhardy of me to abandon FDC. You cannot have been beneficiaries of the NRM for 25 years and then you come to oppose the NRM and fight it via being an independent. While your father wants to be a SEC member on the same platform, if you can't mobilize your son, why would you want to mobilize ATTAN, who is FDC, to join NRM? If ATTAN is seeing that your son doesn't trust the NRM, it is a subject for the viewers to judge. That said, we must recognize that this city needs a voice that will stand straight and say power to the truth to the power that be. Teso, the heartbeat, the industrial hub of Mother Teso, is here. The economic center, nerve of Mother Teso, is in Soroti City. And we had Obwangor, we had the senior leaders, legislators, the late Atekerejalo, the Omarias, they sprang from here. And we must accept that we cannot hide any longer. For the last 14 years, we have had a raw deal. Honorable Mike Mukula, from 2011, went silent up to 2016. Honorable Rico, from 2016 up to 2021, went silent. In 1 year, I was in parliament. I will tell you, I spoke, I went to Minister of Health, Minister of Education, and I raised a substantial motion on the absence of ICU unit, on the absence of a CT scan, and today as I speak, it is there. I went to parliament, and during the COVID peak, I had to put on health gears and enter the COVID clinic that was being run by our special doctor, Dr. Tolu. And I assessed, I took a report to parliament. Teso members of parliament accepted to come and visit the regional referral hospital. Through the briefing and the report of the then director, the absence of a heavy-duty X-ray machine was raised. Today, as I speak, there is a heavy-duty X-ray machine in that regional referral hospital. I was able to pursue through the Committee of Physical Infrastructure 5.4 kilometers of road. If you pass from Kichinjaji, going to a minute, up to Uganda Matters Vocational Institute, up to Mbale Road, that tarmac was fixed. Amenity Road was bad when Mike Mukula was the member of parliament. He left it bad. In 1 year, I never left it bad.
Was it under the municipality then?
It was under municipality. Madera Ward was under municipality. Amenity Ward was under municipality.
But also,
Mike Mukula was a member of parliament. That infrastructure was bad. In 1 year, I was there. I pursued it.
So let me inform you. How do then Soroti be voted as the cleanest city?
Let me inform you what I was able to do. Then I will inform you on the issue of garbage. In the health sector, I pursued what I was able to pursue. And for the first time, Teso members of parliament converged on the matter of the regional referral hospital. On the infrastructure, 5.4 kilometers of road was done. Over 740 million shillings of the budget of the city was added here. We pursued, and on the budget, on the National Economy, Committee of National Economy, we signed off a report of a loan, including OKIA Seed School, near the solar plant. And it is one of the roads that was done from the solar plant up to the ground where OKIA Seed School is supposed to be constructed. They also put maram. And we anticipated that Seed School should have taken off in terms of construction, because the loan, I left parliament when it was approved. But because of this fighting ATTAN, you have fought even a Seed School. But when you move from Soroti SS to Aoja Bridge, there is no secondary school. How many primary schools are there? Numerous. When you move from Soroti SS up to Gweri SS, primary schools in the middle there do not have a secondary school. But how many sub-counties are within there? From Soroti SS up to Aoja, there are numerous sub-counties. A government policy, each sub-county must have a secondary school. What ATTAN pursued for education, to help the children of Gweri, to help the children of Opuyo, Aoja, to avoid them trekking long distance up to Soroti SS, and they benefit from government resources, has been fought by a few individuals.
So how are you going to do the recollection now? Because it's
the
like
recollection is I am fighting
like,
to go back to parliament.
Things went berserk.
No, that is why I am fighting to go back to parliament. And I'm asking for this vote to go back to parliament so that I pursue what I had already fought for. And I add on more. My agenda was to fight every year. I would have a performance report. And I have a performance report of 1 year. And in that performance report of 1 year, I never bought myself a car. I was given 200 million, I bought a truck. Because the people of this constituency, Soroti East Division, many come from Katakwi, Amuria, Ngora, Kalaki, Kaberamaido, Serere. When we lose our loved ones, we had no way. People were choking with the transporting back their dead bodies. I have a truck which is functional up to today, even when I was robbed. By the way, for the record, I never lost the election. I was robbed and pushed out of parliament. And for the record, I was removed from parliament using a justice who depended on a gazette of the Ministry of Local Government, who had no role in demarcating constituencies, electoral constituencies.
But you had the head-on with the judge.
The fact is that we have a captured judiciary. And corruption is everywhere. But I will respect their rulings, but disagree with them. In those rulings have been the most unfortunate rulings that ATTAN had no agents in the by-election. But the DRR forms they have, my agents signed, but the judges say I had no agents. A ruling of Court of Appeal said Ariko remains in parliament. ATTAN has lost, but Ariko pays ATTAN 30% of the cost of appeal. ATTAN is not paying Ariko a coin. ATTAN pays Electoral Commission and the returning officer. That was the ruling of the Court of Appeal. Now there is propaganda being run in the constituency that ATTAN is supposed to pay Ariko 700 million. If he doesn't pay, he will not be nominated. I know of a plan to kidnap me and not be nominated. Now that propaganda is a mindset preparation of people that once I'm kidnapped, the people will say it is debts. I have no debt to Pariko.
How about the others?
The Electoral Commission and the returning officer have to file their bill of course to the Registrar Court of Appeal. And it is taxed, and my lawyer is prepared and waiting. Once the Electoral Commission and the returning officer file, I have capacity to pay.
Then?
They have not.
Then what happens?
Because what happens if they have not filed? If they have not filed, Maybe they have realized that actually we don't need to ask a coin from ATTAN because ATTAN was robbed.
But then now, Honorable,
and they know.
How ready are you to stand the test of time in case they prepare those files when it's nearing to
preparing files?
the nomination? Because now,
let me tell you, just get it quickly.
Yes.
Preparing files a week to nomination and you give ATTAN.
Yes.
ATTAN has time to respond. And the Electoral Commission did not use a private lawyer. They used a government lawyer. I have read authorities of what Electoral Commission can claim from me. Because they use the government lawyer, I don't pay the government lawyer. They had 7 affidavits. Very little money is charged on an affidavit. I know how much Electoral Commission can get from me. Even if I say the Electoral Commission wants 20 million, I have what I can dispose of in a minute and pay Electoral Commission and the returning officer. It's not a worry to me. I have not even asked the Honorable Rico to pay me the 30% of the cost of appeal. Why? He wanted money. I have left him with everything. I am not intending to ask for that 30%. He better goes with his curses because he brought the dirtiest politics in Teso. I have been in politics since 2010-11. I have never witnessed that kind of politics. I studied political science for 3 years. I went back for a master's in electoral democracy. Historically, I have never witnessed this kind of election.